next meeting is the 24th. It's going to be challenging. The sides are far apart. Since we thought we offered them a fairly generous pay increase that they have rejected, but we'll see what we find out.
So are you kind of starting from what the previous agreement was and trying to fit in some additional compromises from there, or is this like a total rewrite?
I think it's going to be a total, let's rebuild the deal. However, as I've stated, and I stated at the time we passed the budget, there are no unallocated reserve funds at this point. So the offer we made originally was net neutral to this current budget, and now the challenge of staying within the current budget is even more extreme.
Mayor, there were some changes. There were some changes to the historical status of Reed Memorial Methodist Church. Could you explain just what went on with that?
The Reed Memorial Methodist Church. Apparently, when we created the historic status for that facility, the person who was at that time the pastor of the church, who committed and signed the forms committing to that facility being a protected landmark, did not have the authorization. Different church denominations have different ownership structures for their buildings. Like Baptist churches tend to be freestanding; it's owned by the congregation. Other churches are owned in common, and he did not have the authorization to bind the use of that land, and so we unwound the transaction.
Thank you.
Mayor, there was a significant bird abatement project at Bush Intercontinental over the weekend using a controversial chemical toxicant called Avitrol. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, first I've heard of it, so I don't know any of the details. I know that we routinely do bird abatement activities around our airport. That's one of the reasons that the airports have been built without detention ponds or anything that would attract birds to the area. And I know we do a range of things to keep birds away because we don't want to have lose a plane because of bird strikes, but I don't know anything about this particular incident to which you're referring.
One follow-up, and I appreciate that. This chemical toxicant has been banned in other cities, San Francisco, New York City, because of humane considerations that this nerve agent results in a slow, agonizing death to these birds, and balancing that with the aviation risks posed at airports with birds is a balance. But those...
I don't know anything about the toxicant. I don't know about what actually happened out there. I know we have to do bird abatement. In fact, it's an FAA requirement. If it's a matter of choosing something that kills them quickly or kills them slowly, obviously we don't want animals to suffer. I'm going to have to do some more research.
Mayor, I have a very vague question. I'm sorry. My news director sent me a text and said, apparently there's something going on with the bricks in Freedmanstown, and that's all he said. Can you tell me if there's something going on?
All right, for, I don't know, 6 years, 7 years, 8 years, we've been trying to figure out what to do with the brick streets in Freedmanstown. We need to put new water and sewer lines in over there, and they're very, very narrow streets, but we want to protect the historic bricks over there, and there have been a number of different proposals. In fact, the neighborhood, certain activists in the neighborhood want us to do a tunneling method where we don't disturb the bricks, and there are areas where it might be a good idea, but what we have now is a very uneven patchwork of here we have bricks, here we have asphalt. It's unsightly, it's not a good road surface, and it's much more expensive to do a tunneling method rather than to just pull up the road and put the water sewer lines in and then rebuild the road. We passed a contract about a month ago, I think, to move forward with the reconstruction of the street. And the method will be we will lift the bricks, store the bricks, consolidate the bricks, and so you don't have that patchwork, but hopefully to relay the bricks where you have longer segments where you can actually get the sense and feel of a brick street. There are still folks over there that don't believe that they should be touched at all, and we just think that that's sort of the worst solution. We have consulted with the National Trust for Historic Preservation and other cities that have historic brick streets, and they all do it exactly the way we're proposing. Pull them up and relay them. There have been some stories I've seen swirling around that they pointed the way to safe houses and so forth. These bricks were all laid after the Civil War. And so that, while I do believe they are historic and it's part of the historic district, that particular element is not the